What's up, everybody? I realized that I do an intro for this every time, and I don't have to. So why don't we just get straight into it? Let's do that.
Oh yeah. Is that my cue?
I guess so, because we didn't rehearse this, but because usually we do an intro and then India gets into it. But why are we getting into an intro? Today we're going to be talking about fascia. That's the intro. And India's going to be telling us exactly what about fascia, who termed it, coined it, all that good stuff. Now, India, it's your cue.
Okay, cool. I actually am not going to talk about that because that was not part of my research. I got deep into my research into myofascia. And it has the term fascia has been around for a really long time, but I don't have the exact date. Here's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
So usually we do talk about a particular person. So we're veering off a little bit because for the next 2 weeks, so for the previous couple weeks, for this month of, what month are we in? June. For the month of June, we are talking about flexibility. And flexibility as a subject is so much broader and deeper than just that 3 to 5 minutes of super fast stretching that you maybe do after you exercise, which is what most people think of when they think flexibility and stretching. That's where their brain goes. But flexibility in and of itself is a deep, deep subject. And it's one of my favorite subjects and aspects of the body. And so for the next 2 streams, we're going to really go into what's happening with stretching, why it's important, and what are all the, not all because it's a lot, but what are many, many, many ways and techniques and modalities that help the body's flexibility, because it's not just stretching in the traditional sense of the word. And a lot of people don't know that. So I really wanted, since this is the theme for the month of June, I really wanted to give us the opportunity to get into flexibility and how do you actually address it and encourage it and create it in the body.
Yay. Let's do it.
It starts with myofascia and myofascia releasing techniques. And there are a lot of people to talk about. And the person that, I began focusing on was Thomas Myers. I have his book, Anatomy Trains, brought it all the way from America with me to Germany. He was the first person that I started learning about fascia when I was in massage school. And the work of Thomas Myers and of a couple other people we're going to talk about today has really expanded people's understanding of what myofascia is, its function in the body, its purpose, and how we can address issues with fascia. Because a lot of the time when we have issues of movement or chronic pain, it can have something to do with something going on with the myofascia. So I thought that it would be a really, really good idea for anyone who's not familiar with this conversation to first get into what is fascia. So if you have ever gotten a massage, or if you've done certain types of exercise, you might hear your massage therapist or your trainer talking about fascia. And so, if you think about me, my certifications, I am a certified myofascial trigger point release therapist. That's the full-on long ass title. But the question always is, even for me, what is that? So fascia is really challenging to define. It gets in the weeds, and you know how much in the weeds I love to get with words and terms and stuff. But it really did take me a while to get something that might be understandable to someone who's not familiar with all the anatomical terms and everything. So one of my favorite books is called Fascia, What It Is and Why It Matters. And it is, the author gives a definition of fascia as it is both a tissue of the body, like muscle tissue or fat tissue. It's a tissue and it's a system in the body. So here's how he defines it. He says, the fascial system consists of the three-dimensional continuum of soft, collagen-containing, loose, and dense, fibrous, connective tissues that permeate the body. That is literally the least complicated definition of fascia that I found, Griselda.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. So, anatomy professor Andrew Leamy says it in the simplest way for anyone to understand. Fascia is the soft skeleton. So basically, it is the connective tissue for everything, everywhere, all at once. Of the body. I was really proud of that joke.
This is India nerding out. This is what it looks like.
I know, just bear with me, I know. My two favorite things combined. So fascia is deeply, deeply important to movement and function. So at the microscopic cellular level, it forms a lattice work, or it's sometimes described as a web-like structure.
Wait, hold on, India. Give me a second. So for those of you who are watching live or watching the replay later, how many of you have been exposed to the word fascia? Or like, what have you heard about fascia? What do you think it is? Like if you, like what India said, if you've gotten work from a personal trainer or a massage therapist and they told you about fascia, what exactly did they tell you to do? And did you do it as they said? Or were you like, I don't know what you're talking about? Go ahead and write it in the comments below. And if anybody writes anything, then I will tell you, India.
Awesome. Thank you. Are people watching?
No.
Okay.
But who knows? Somebody might tune in.
Somebody might. Hello, ethereal people out there. We know you're out there. All right. So at the microscopic cellular level, fascia forms this lattice work, or it's described as a web-like structure within and around muscles and organs in the body. So when we look
Oh wait, Jax is on. Hi, Jax.
Hi, Jax.
Oh my gosh.
Yay!
Okay. Jax says I have a fascia stretch protocol.
Excellent. I love it. Awesome. If you know the name, like which particular methodology it's based in, tell us, please. Okay. So when we look at muscles and movements specifically, we are looking at what we call the crimp aspect of the fibers. So that means when we look at fascia under a microscope, all of the fascia fibers, the fibers of the collagen, they look like little sound waves stacked on top of each other. Or the other way that it kind of looks like is, do you remember back in the 90s when everybody crimped their hair? That's what fascia fibers and structures look like. So when that crimp has got that perfect crimpy waviness to it, it's healthy and smooth, and it creates the musculature. It creates this ability for that springiness and elasticity that we see in muscles for a healthy muscle. Yes, stop me.
So Jack says she does it every morning. It was created by a physical therapist in Huntington Beach. She does it every morning, helps to prevent plantar fasciitis. I think it's called Series 8 Fascia Protocol.
Awesome. There you go. We're going to go through at the end of this a couple, like lots of different methodologies and things So series 8, try it out. Fascia is amazing. Thank you, Jax. So when that crimp, this is what that protocol is doing, if you've ever wondered about the science of it. When that crimp in the fascia, that wavy lines, when that stuff is healthy and smooth, you get that springiness and you get elasticity to the muscle movement. So as we age or sedentary lifestyle that doesn't have a lot of body movement or injury, these are all things that cause the fascia fibers to become tangled. So when you look at tangled fascia fibers under a microscope, it looks like a knotted up ball of yarn. So you hear people often describe like knots, right? They're feeling around and they feel like this hard, they're like, what the hell is that? It could actually be a bundle of fascia fibers just like stuck together. But more often what's really going on is the fascial fibers are just completely misaligned and intertwined and knotted up and locked up and doing all these sorts of things. And they are sticking together. They're not able to move smoothly over each other. So you're seeing like stickiness in movement, or if you feel it with your hand, it's like hard to get through. You can't just go across the musculature in a smooth way. There's bumps and little things. So all of that is affecting movement and range of motion and mobility and flexibility, problems with fascia. So when we talk about flexibility, which is this month's theme, fascia plays a huge role. And as Jax is pointing to, right, she follows a particular modality, a method for fascial release. It's releasing fascia. And there are tons of modalities out there that facilitate fascial release. So the author of this book, and by the way, I don't know if I said his name, his last name is Lasondak. Look him up, it's amazing. So in his book, what he describes release as, fascial release, it's this inner sensation of something letting go. A lot of people describe like something let go. I could feel that let go. And for those of you who have ever had fascial release, I'd love to hear in the comments, like, what's your experience of fascial release? What does it feel like to you? Because it feels different to many people. But for many, it's this idea of like something is letting go. And what that letting go, what happens is this experience in the musculature of either what we would call local, which is like very specific to the area, or global, which is happening like all over, a complete reduction in tension. So either the specific muscle you're targeting releases and the tension is released, or you might even be experiencing a release in tension all over, because these structures are deeply intertwined and connected and communicating all the time. People experience greater physical ease. You do see almost immediately improved range of motion for the area that's being worked on, or a combination of all of it. So that is fascial release. It is a whole body universal experience that's going on when we are realigning the fibers of that connective tissue. We're moving them around. Yep.
The Jax, I'm assuming this is Jax because I can't see, but she says, oh my gosh, fascial release of the cranium for me is so amazing, from eyebrows to occipital, back of the skull. When that fascia is released, I fall into a deep, peaceful sleep.
How lovely is that? Yes, exactly. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just talk briefly about this is not an exhaustive list of fascial release modalities. And essentially the bottom line that I want people to take away from this particular conversation is releasing fascia, regardless of the modality. Releasing fascia is important for addressing overall body function and especially muscular and joint movement. So we're going to talk about many different, or like several of the many different body work modalities and techniques out there. And fascia and fascial release in many areas is like widely debated. So this is what Lysandic says about it. He says, while it's generally accepted that all of these treatments can positively affect the fascia, not all of the therapies, like when we talk about them in a general sense, it's not a personal endorsement of like, you have to do this type of modality and this is the type we say you should do. Because a lot of the therapies haven't been conclusively proven to work through evidence-based or randomized clinical trials. And that's the main topic of debate for a lot of these therapies is, the medical and scientific communities are like, you guys haven't done enough testing for this to be like scientifically valid. A lot of the results are anecdotal. And that's actually kind of the point. So Leon Chaitau, who is a researcher, he says, lack of proof of efficacy is not the same as proof of lack of efficacy. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the studies just maybe haven't been done to the widest range or anything, but that doesn't mean they don't work. So we talk about them and we examine them and we encourage people to try different modalities. Why? Because these modalities have a reputation, anecdotally, for getting the desired result. Like Jax shared, she falls into a deep sleep when she gets that cranial release. Now, there might be a debate about what's happening or if that should be applied in every situation or blah, 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 blah. But for Jax and Jax's personal experience, that's a modality that works for her and gives her the desired result. So what's important is finding a modality or practice that helps your body release its fascia or relax itself or increase its elasticity, if you want to say other words. You want to find the modalities that help with relaxation, muscle fiber elongation, flexibility, range of motion, and pain relief. And all of the modalities that we're going to talk about do produce those results for people. And you may have to try a couple to see which one works for you and your body personally. Was I clear in that, Criselda?
Clear enough. You post in the comments, anyone that's watching, if it's unclear. India just might send you a bunch of links to read more about fascia.
I have so many books. Okay. This article took me so long to get it down. Okay, so we're just going to go through them, a couple of them. And what I encourage you to do, Criselda's going to post the names of these somewhere. And I encourage you guys, look these up, check them out, try them out, and then come back to us and tell us what worked for you. What did you like? What did you find? Because we're interested in that. We're always looking for sharing because you might find the one modality that really works for you. So fascial modality number one, oldest, most widely practiced worldwide, acupuncture. Yeah, it's amazing. Then we've got fascial fitness, which was developed in Germany. So for those of us here auf Deutsch, in Deutschland, jawohl. Then we have fascial manipulation that was created in Italy. Then we have the Frederick stretch therapy that's also known as stretch to win. So that's really oriented towards sports, and they have a really great, I actually have their book also.
Of course you do.
And they have their book walks you through techniques that you can do on their own. And there are people who are trained in the Frederick Stretch therapy as therapists who do that on other people. I've had it done to me and it's like insane. It's amazing. Then there's one that a lot of people are familiar with, especially in modern gym culture, foam rolling. That is a self myofascial release technique. Then you have what I was trained in. We're coming at you with myofascial trigger point therapy. So that's, you can find people who are myofascial release therapists trained in the trigger point method, which is awesome. Janet Travell. So then along the going in that direction, you have structural integration, or also known as rolfing. So rolfing is a very specific type of structural integration. So you can go off in either one of those, structural integration or rolfing, the same thing. Then you have visceral manipulation. Viscera is your internal organs. And so you get people who are doing all kinds of fun stuff up in there. And then there's something really cool called yin yoga. So there's different types of yoga and Pilates. So mindful movement has something called slat. I think it's slat Pilates. So that is Pilates. They've taken the core grounding and concepts of Pilates and put it through the myofascial frame. So it's really focused on myofascia and myofascial release. So that's mindful movement. And then there's also Zen. I wrote it down, but then I lost where I wrote it down. Hold on. Zen-go. Is it called Zen-go? Yes, Zen-go. Again, myofascial movement. So that's not even close to being an exhaustive list of all the different methodologies and techniques for myofascial release. If you are had to like the chiropractic route, then you can, there's a special type of like alignment that deals with myofascia just for chiropractors. They can be specialized in that. So yeah.
India, did you say slat Pilates? How do you spell that?
Is it slat Pilates? It's either slat Pilates or I'm saying the wrong thing. Let me double check that. Hold on. Stott Pilates. Sorry. STOTT Pilates. It's the version of Pilates that the Merrithew mindful movement people do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, here we go. Posting all of these fascial release techniques in the chats.
And then also Jack says,
Facebook
whatever
group.
Jack said, because that sounded really awesome as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, craniosacral therapy. That's one to go through. And then the chiropractor version of craniosacral therapy is craniopathy, which is awesome. So there's all kinds of things. And this is the thing, you really are, like I said, you're focusing on what's the goal? What's the goal that you're focusing on? Is it more toward relaxation? Is it more toward flexibility and muscle fiber elongation? Is it more toward range of motion? Is it more toward pain relief? Each one of these modalities will focus on obtaining a specific result, even though each one of them will give you sort of a generalized result. You want to think about what are you specifically working on for you and your body, and then looking for the modality that best suits getting that result. So that's the sort of part one of fascia. And
Yay.
Next week, Professor Indy is going to get into proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
Yay, PNF stretching.
We're actually going to get to do some on that video. So tune in. And if you have any questions about fascia or stretching, get to us somehow in the comments, DM us, all that. And I'm happy to share my love of fascia and flexibility with anyone.
She really would. She really, really would. Don't hesitate.
I would love to nerd out on all of you.
Jax has a recommendation. So
Excellent.
for craniosacral fascia release, get an appointment with the business called Total Relief Method. The practitioner is Dr. David Rubenstein. Oh, she told me about this. And Rubenstein in Huntington Beach in California. And anyone he has trained, she says she can't wait for PNF next week.
Awesome.
Thanks for the rec, Jax.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Heck yes. Why we have this awesome community, isn't it?
That's right.
All right. Well, that's it from us for this week. Tune in next week and we'll keep going.
That's right.
And then
Yeah.
just a preview in July, we're getting into balance and we're going to do a whole lot of fun things with like handstands and stuff. So just, trailer.
Ooh, yes. Balance, coordination, particularly balance.
Yes. Indeed. All right. Well, Griselda, I love you as always. Everybody else, I love you as always. Finito.
Bye, everybody.